quality of life for all citizens through sound fiscal management and legislative actions. In an ongoing effort to increase transparency, your Board of Supervisors holds public meetings to garner citizen input before making important decisions. Here is tonight's meeting agenda. Stay tuned. The Board of Supervisors meeting will begin shortly.
All right, call this meeting of the James City County Board of Supervisors regular meeting on July 11th, 2023 at 5 p.m. Ms. Stevens, would you call the roll, please, sir?
Yes, sir. Ms. Sadler?
Here.
Ms. Sadler represents the Stonehouse District. Mr. Eisenhower?
Here.
Mr. Eisenhower represents the Jamestown District. Mr. McGlennon?
Here.
Mr. McGlennon represents the Roberts District. Ms. Larson?
Here.
Ms. Larson represents the Berkeley District and is Vice Chair of the Board. Mr. Hipple?
Here.
Mr. Hipple represents the Powhatan District and is Chair of the Board. Sitting to my left, right on time, is Adam Kinsman, County Attorney. And I'm Scott Stevens, County Administrator. It's my pleasure to be Clerk to the Board. All present.
Thank you. I'll look for a motion to amend the agenda to add a closed session for a property discussion and a consultant with legal counsel. May I have a motion?
So move.
So move. Roll call, sir.
Ms. Sadler?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. McGlennon?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. Hipple?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, we'll first have a moment of silence, and before our pledge leader tonight will be Brad. Ah, look, he just found out.
Looky there.
So, all right. Thank you, sir.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Want a pen?
Do I get a pen?
I think I got one. Wait a minute, hold on. Let me see. We'll hand you one later. All right. Public comment. Speakers? Peg Borman. We'll let it get trashy now.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, Mr. Stevens, Mr. Purse, Mr. Reinheimer, Mr. Kinsinger. I'm Peg Borman. I reside at 17 Settlers Lane out at Whitefoot, and I come before you to talk some trash, but before I do, I want to present each one of you board members with something.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Peg. This is for us to put trash in, I assume.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now, I hope you can use some of the things that's in that.
Yes, sir.
Clean County Commission asked me to present that to you all tonight, so I hope that you'll enjoy it. Now let's talk trash. Well, No. Let's be more positive and take a look at keep James City County beautiful. That's what I'm wearing this shirt for, is because I want to keep James City County beautiful. And, you know, trash is always going to be out there, no matter what. And you know it, and I know it, and we all think about it. But if we just think about the beauty of our county and why we're letting trash keep us from seeing all the beauty that God has blessed us with, well, maybe it wouldn't be so bad when we do look at the trash. But let's not focus on the trash and the litter and think about it, how we can prevent it from marring our vision of this beautiful county. If everyone, and I mean each and every one, me, you, and everybody out there, would make a concentrated effort to see that it doesn't accumulate, or something, how some way it could be prevented, and have positive thoughts and actions, maybe that would help a little bit. We always talk about the negatives, and I thought I just want to take away from the heat and everything that we've been having and think positive thoughts instead of thinking how trashy it is and how bad it looks and so forth and so on, because if just a little bit of effort everybody took, it would help keep us from having all that trash out there. And I want to see James City County clean and beautiful, and we all live a happy life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Speaker cards? All right, I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, I would like to just take a moment to introduce our new police chief, Mark Jamison. Chief, if I could ask you to come to the podium. I don't have a lot more to share. I've introduced him a number of times and just thought this would be a good opportunity for him to say hello to you again as well. As we all know, the chief was sworn in June 30th. He began work July 1st. And after 11 days, I'm happy to report he's still excited to be the chief here in James City County. So we haven't scared him off yet. He was born and raised in Maine, but spent the last 26 years working for the Lynchburg, Virginia Police Department and served as their deputy chief of police for the last 7 years. He holds a master's degree in sociology and criminal justice, a bachelor's degree in government, and has numerous professional development programs in law enforcement and leadership under his belt, so to speak. You know, my interaction with the chief and feedback from those that know him or have worked with him have been very impressive. He comes with great credentials, great references. He's made a name for himself in the police community. I found him to be very easy to talk with, willing to share ideas, and committed to making our department the best it can be. And I think we have a very good department, so moving it forward will be a tough job for him because we're in a good place. I would encourage residents to reach out to Chief Jamison and take advantage of opportunities to meet with him and our officers in the coming months. There will be those opportunities for the community to get to know him. And I just asked if he would say a few words, not 10 minutes worth, but a few words just to say hello again this evening. So, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, it's an honor for me to be here tonight in front of you as your police chief. Like I said last night, I work for you and I work for this community, and that's what I'm here for. Our law enforcement officers, men and women, do the same, and we're here to serve this community. That's what it's all about. I'm excited to be here. My family, my wife, this is an area that we have loved to visit and come to, and it's an honor for me to be part of this community and to live here now. I recognize law enforcement's gone through some struggles over the years, and no law enforcement agency across the state of Virginia, across the country, is immune from that. My goal is to give 110% and our officers to give 110% and our professional staff, and then continue to make James City County a great place to live, work, and play. Also the department a great place to people want to be at. So that's kind of my goal. That's a lot more than that. It's kind of brief. I was waiting for the timer to go, but it isn't, so that's good. I can get wordy. I would ask any citizen, if they want to reach out, to certainly call the police department at 253-1800. Our website has my information on there as well, my email, my office number. They can certainly reach out that way. I'm looking forward to meeting a lot more people.
More importantly for me is our officers, because they're the ones that you all entrust with the job to go out there every day to protect you and to serve you. So that will be part of my goals over the next 6 months to a year, is to engage with them, understand their needs, their desires, but also our communities. Thank you for this time, for being here. Thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll move into consent calendar. Consent calendar consists of appropriations of funds for the transportation matching or match account of $114,291 and a contract award of $215,822 for a tourism portable stage. Are there any items that anyone wishes to pull, or may I have a motion?
Motion?
Motion? Motion on the floor. Roll call, please, sir.
Ms. Sadler?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Jack Haldeman, welcome, sir. Thank you for being here with us, spending time with us this afternoon, and we'll be calling on you shortly as we go through these public hearings. Thank you, sir. All right, our first public hearing for the night is amendment to the Willow Ponds Estate Phase 2 Deed of Conservation for the Open Space Easement. Tammy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Mr. Elwood Perry and Mr. Holly Smith of Forge Road LLC have submitted a request on behalf of themselves and other affected property owners to amend an existing deed of conservation and open space easement on properties within Willow Pond Estates Phase 2. The applicants desire to permit driveway entrance features as part of the fencing provisions and to clarify the landscape provisions. In addition, the amendments would simplify and streamline the approval process for fencing and landscaping. In March 2003, the Board of Supervisors approved the purchase of a conservation easement on the property. The terms of the easement generally conform to the restrictions found in other easements purchased through the Purchase of Development Rights Program. In June and September 2019, and again in March 2021, the Board approved and clarified amendments to the easement to permit up to 7 residences, to create an 800-foot residential setback line, and to expressly include equine uses in the easement in exchange for similar easement on the Meadows Farm. The easement was amended accordingly and restructured to mirror provisions for Willow Pond Estates Phase 1. Since 2019, the property has been subdivided into 7 residential lots and 2 non-residential equestrian lots and is known as Willow Pond Estates Phase 2. As the property has developed, property owners and staff have spent considerable time working to review and resolve landscaping proposals given the vague and general language in the current easement regarding landscaping. In addition, there have been questions regarding driveway entrance features. As stated in the easement, the goals of the easement are to preserve land for agricultural use, forestal use, watershed protection, preservation of scenic open space, and preservation of open space, and to perfect open space values of the property, which are open space and scenic values and its values as land preserved for agriculture, livestock production, and forestry. The specific amendment language were included in your attachments. Generally speaking, they would allow an allow an entrance driveway feature in a way that protects the scenic view from Forge Road, but also aids property owners' ability to protect livestock within the property. Clarify the term not blocking views from Forge Road or Little Creek Reservoir with specific standards that increase understanding, but also that continue to protect or enhance the scenic qualities of Forge Road and Little Creek Reservoir. 3, clarify that orchards and forestry activities need to adhere to the landscape section related to protecting the views of open fields, and therefore are limited to areas on the property beyond 1,600 feet, or in landscape zones around buildings for areas within 1,600 feet. And 4, simplify and streamline the approval process for fencing and landscaping, thereby reducing property owner and staff time spent on these issues. Staff finds that the amendments would enhance the property's conservation values and not affect the easement's perpetual duration or reduce the property's conservation values. Staff further finds that the amendments are consistent with the overall purposes and intents of the easement. Staff recommends that the board adopt the resolution authorizing amendment of the easement. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Questions? All right, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing and look for any speaker cards.
Yes, sir.
No speaker cards. I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and look for the board for a discussion or motion on the item.
Motion to approve?
For approval, roll call, please, sir.
Mr. McGlinnan.
Aye.
Ms. Larson.
Aye.
Ms. Sadler.
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower.
Aye.
Mr. Hippel.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, number 2, disposition of public held properties located at 95 and 101 Mounts Bay Road and 6745 Humelsine Parkway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Following the board's discussion of the board's last meeting, it became evident that this item is not yet ready for the board's consideration. I recommend that you open the public hearing and close it and take no action afterwards. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions for staff? Okay, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. Any cards?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and close the public hearing, and we'll move on to number 3. Ordinance to permit the use of golf carts on public highways in Windsor Forest. Welcome, Tony.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. In 2007, the board adopted an ordinance permitting neighborhoods to apply to have public highways in neighborhoods designated for golf cart use. Several neighborhoods have had roads so designated. Recently, homeowners from Windsor Forest have submitted an application pursuant to county code requesting that the board designate the streets in their neighborhood for golf cart use. Following careful consideration of Windsor Forest's request and the results of a subsequent traffic study conducted by the police department, staff feels that golf carts may be safely accommodated along the public highways in Windsor Forest. These roads would include all of the roadways within the Windsor Forest neighborhood, and I believe you have the entire list in your packet. Staff recommends adoption of the attached ordinance designating certain roads in Windsor Forest for golf cart use, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
So at one of their road, or well, a few of them open right up onto Long Hill there.
Correct.
But the one comes to that main intersection. They're not going to do a UE there. They're going to work through.
So they will have to, if they come down Devon Road to the intersection with Long Hill and Old Town.
Yeah.
That will be they'll have to find a way to turn around there that would not obstruct traffic or violate any traffic ordinances.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Just because that's such a crazy intersection anyway. But
Quite a congested area.
right. But I understand. I'm hopeful that by allowing, I don't know how many of their because they have a non-mandatory HOA, and I'm assuming, and so I don't know how many of their citizens would take advantage of it. But I'm hoping that it will help. I think sometimes in the older neighborhoods, by allowing golf carts, it does help with the speed overall in a neighborhood because they can't go as fast as sometimes motor vehicle traffic can go. So, all right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, the one question is, when this was being looked at, was there any discussion or support or opposition from the HOA itself? I recognize it is a non-mandatory HOA, but I was just wondering what the relationship was between the folks who had asked for it and the HOA.
Yeah, so I did not have any interaction with the homeowners association.
Okay.
We received the application from a resident, and we did receive one comment from someone who had some reservations, but that's all the commentary that we received were what we got from the applicant and one person that had some reservations about it.
As far as you know, the HOA itself hasn't actually taken a position on it then?
Not to my knowledge, no,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. And our first speaker, Kelly Kale. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Kelly Kale. I live at 427 Hempstead Road in Windsor Forest. I come to you tonight with some concerns, not yet opposed or in favor of. I have some packets that I'd like to share with you if I may approach. I've tried to do some research. I'm very state law, golf cart law, federal law. And so the first part of this you see is what's listed in the Code of Virginia for vehicle operations of golf carts. Only pertains to the age of the person and lighting, and they can't drive after dusk. The second part, you see the difference between a golf cart and an LSV, which is a slow-moving vehicle. This comes from a website and specifically brings Virginia into the mix here and says what we're pertaining to and talking about today is a low-speed vehicle or an LSV. They have to have headlights, brake lights, turn signals, parking brakes, seat belts, windshield, rear view mirrors, red reflex reflectors, and a VIN number. Person under 16 can't drive it, et cetera. That's on that one. And then I'll go to the Department of Transportation to look at their rulings on what golf carts, LSVs should be and shouldn't be. And the second page, again, dictates some different things. And then we go to the Commonwealth of Virginia Department of Transportation page, and there's other things listed there. Nowhere in any of this information can I find if these vehicles, I term them a vehicle, I don't know what you really term them, do they have to carry insurance? I can't find that anywhere. Are they registered and licensed? They can go up to 25 miles an hour. I can't find that information anywhere. How many people are allowed to ride in these vehicles? Is it one bottom per seat? I don't know. I can't find that. Do they have to have seat belts on? I can't find that. You can be 16 and drive these vehicles, but a 16-year-old driving a motor vehicle can't have but one person in a car with them for X amount of time after they obtain their license. Is that true for this vehicle? I don't know the answer to that. I can't find these kinds of things. Can the Homeowners Association make more strict guidelines than what is listed in all of this information? I don't know the answer to that. So I'm here tonight to really try to get some answers to questions about these vehicles. It would also pertain to all the other neighborhoods that already have them going in their neighborhoods, obviously, but there's not continuity, in my opinion, in how these vehicles can and should be operated. And I think that needs to be vetted out. And Mr. Eisenhower, to your question as to did the Homeowners Association take any action on this matter, they did not.
Have you talked to Assistant Chief Dahlman? Have you talked to the police about any of this to see if maybe that might be a good spot to start, to see if because they probably have the answers to those questions. Maybe we could, is there another speaker?
No.
Maybe we could table.
That would be my request of you tonight, would you please table this until we can find some more definitive answers and until the homeowners can get together and wrap their heads around this and how it will actually work in the neighborhood. Again, I'm not opposed or for one way or the other. I don't have enough information to make an informed decision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, to the extent that it helps, the Virginia Code actually defines the two vehicles very differently. There's a low-speed vehicle, which has one definition, and that actually it explicitly excludes golf carts. Low-speed vehicles are, in fact, ones that have bumpers and lights and mirrors and side mirrors and reverse mirrors. We have a lot fewer controls that we can put on low-speed vehicles. We've had some issues with them before where they go around and we say, hey, that's not a golf cart neighborhood, but they're using low-speed vehicles. We don't necessarily have a lot of control over those. Golf carts are specifically set out in the Virginia Code, and that's something that the board can allow golf cart use in the neighborhoods. They are not necessarily, a golf cart could be a low-speed vehicle, but it is not necessarily one. Depends on the accoutrements you tack onto your golf cart and whether or not it's licensed or not. I've been around for, I think, all of these golf cart neighborhoods. I think certain ones have included insurance requirements. I don't know that we've done that for all of them. Some of them have been 10, 15 years old now. Memory's slipping a little bit on some of them. But I can say, at least to clear that part out, low-speed vehicles and golf carts are two separate things.
So are you saying that we can put on an approval for a golf cart community that the golf cart has to be licensed?
I think you could. At that point, you would be changing golf carts to probably low-speed vehicles. And we've approved a number of neighborhoods with just golf carts.
And have we had, what is our record on the ones that we have golf cart? Have we had complaints or issues so far?
Probably better answered by the police department, or at least more currently answered by the police department.
Okay.
The last time I was asked was a few years ago. We had not had any.
Okay. Could we ask the police to come and answer that question?
Go ahead and close the public
Okay,
comment
sorry.
period.
Can I ask him a question? My understanding, can I not? I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead. You had a few seconds left on your time, so I'll.
So
grant.
there's a difference in speed limits on a golf cart and a low-speed vehicle, correct? That's what I've found in my paperwork.
I'd prefer not to have a back and forth over the legalities of golf carts versus low-speed vehicles while in a public hearing. So if we could do that after the fact, that'd
Okay, no
be
problem.
great.
Be
Thank
great.
you.
Okay, thank you. All right. You
Yes,
wanted-
So, yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think Ms. Kale has raised a lot of important issues here that be very helpful for us to have some clarification on. You know, we can say that there is a distinction between golf carts and low-speed vehicles, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the average person in a neighborhood who may have one of these vehicles will recognize that difference. And other questions relating to, you know, the ability of 16-year-olds to operate them and whether they're bound by the same rules that would apply to their operation of a motor vehicle. You know, I think really would make sense for us to get a bit more clarity on those issues before we act on this.
Maybe we could get the answers and then we could, I know we typically don't vote at our next meeting, but we could put it on the agenda right for the next meeting. And
Yeah, we could move it on out, and I mean, it's nothing that's gonna be critical for today, so if we do a postponement to get all the information we need, I think it'd probably be a little bit better for us and give staff time to answer these questions and figure out, okay, what do we wanna do with this item and answer these questions for us, and we could bring it back in our September meeting.
And all things being equal, I guess I feel a little more comfortable getting a broader sense of opinion in the community than it appears. I mean, it appears that this was initiated by a citizen, and
so I will tell you so this is an issue, this has been an issue in our community as well, but we are a non-mandatory HOA and our HOA is not wanting to get involved either. So I don't know necessarily that number 7, you know, I don't think a homeowners association in a in a neighborhood with public streets, I'm looking at Adam, I don't think a homeowners association is going to trump the law. And I don't necessarily think you're going to get the HOA of a non-mandatory neighborhood to weigh in. So I think not, yeah, if you want to hear from if you want to open the appeal and say, if you live in Windsor Forest, please let us know how you feel about it. I think that's one thing, but I don't think we'll hear from their HOA.
Right. I understand the limitations on the
I would
non-mandatory
appreciate
HOAs.
the opportunity to have September, because that would give an opportunity to have other people who might have concerns or questions or be in support to come out either one way or the other. But in looking at the list of things that I think we really need to get some resolution on, it is clear to me we also need to go back and take a look at how our previous approvals might differ one from the other, and whether there's any potential for problems there as well.
Okay, that would be so I would look for a motion for postponement to September 12th meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Yes, sir. Well, I can open it back up. You can open it back up today and then leave it open till September. Okay, let me go ahead and that way we'll have a chance for any of the public to speak. Thank you. And so I'll go ahead and open up the public speaking and keep it open till the September 12th deadline. So we have a motion for September 12th postponement for this item. Roll call, please, sir.
Ms. Sadler?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. Ripple?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, next we're looking at number 4, SUP-23-0015, David Nice Builders Office and Parking Expansion. Welcome, Terry. Back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Mr. Brandon Nice of David A. Nice Builders has applied for a special use permit to allow for the expansion of a contractor's office on 2 parcels located at 4575 and 4579 Ware Creek Road. The combined acreage of the parcels is approximately 3.93 acres. The parcels are zoned A1, general agricultural, and designated rural lands on the comprehensive plan land use map. A contractor's office and storage is a specially permitted use in the A1 zoning districts. The 2,000 square foot expansion would bring the existing 6,100 square foot building to a total of 8,100 square feet. The proposal also includes additional parking spaces. When the building at 4575 Ware Creek Road was first used as an office in 1988, a contractor's office and warehouse was a permitted use in the A1 district. The ordinance was amended in 1989 to require a special use permit for this use. The building has been expanded 3 times, receiving SUPs in 1999, 2003, and 2012. Per the adopted comprehensive plan, retail and other commercial uses are encouraged to be located at planned commercial locations on major thoroughfares inside the PSA. However, certain commercial uses which require very low intensity settings relative to the site in which it will be located may be considered on a case-by-case basis, provided such uses are compatible with the natural and rural character of the area and are in accordance with the rural lands development standards. The current proposal will bring the office use to 8,100 square feet with 30 employees and customers who visit the site. Typically, the office uses of this size and nature are encouraged to be located inside the primary service area. Expansions of this nature may begin to affect the compatibility of this use with the natural and rural character of this area. However, staff finds that elements of this project and conditions proposed are consistent with the rural lands guidance. Staff finds the proposal is compatible with surrounding zoning and development and generally consistent with the 2045 comprehensive plan. At its June 7th meeting, the Planning Commission recommended approval of this application by a vote of 6-0. Staff recommends the Board of Supervisors approve the application subject to the attached conditions. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have, and the applicant is also available. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Jack Haldeman. Finally, we get you up here. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I don't have a lot to add. In fact, I have nothing to add to Ms. Costello's report. As she accurately stated, the commission voted to approve this SUP application with stated conditions unanimously, 6-0. There were no public speakers. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions? Thank you, sir. All right, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. And do we have a speaker card? No speaker cards. Would the applicant like to speak? Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and look for the board for a decision and direction.
Make a motion to approve.
For approval, roll call, please, sir.
Aye.
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 Aye. All right, next, number 5, Z-23-0003/SUP-23-0013, the Overlook at Rochambeau. John, welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Mr. Howard Price of AES Consulting Engineers has applied on behalf of Jessica Akins of the Wedding Company of Williamsburg for a special use permit and rezoning to develop an event facility at 4097 Rochambeau Drive. The property is approximately 15.02 acres in size and currently zoned A1 General Agricultural, designated rural lands on a 2045 comprehensive plan, and is located outside the primary service area. This segment of Rochambeau Drive is considered to be a major collector road. The proposed event facility would include a 11,105 square foot event venue building, 2 1,284 square foot accessory cottages, and an outdoor ceremony area with a pavilion to host weddings and other events with a maximum of 300 attendees, including staff and vendors. The A1 zoning district considers event facilities as places of public assembly used primarily as event facilities, which are subject to performance standards in the zoning ordinance. SUPs are required for event facilities which do not meet all of the performance standards. Accordingly, this proposal requires an SUP because the property is not located along an arterial roadway, and the proposed structures and parking areas are located on soils which are considered to be farmland of statewide importance by the USDA. Additionally, an SUP is also required for the project as it includes more than 10,000 square feet of commercial floor area and more than 100 additional peak hour trips to the property. Along with the SUP, the applicant has applied to rezone the property from A1 General Agricultural to A1 General Agricultural with proffers. The voluntary proffers would require that the accessory cottages only be used by event attendees and not as dwelling units or short-term rentals outside of an event. Staff has proposed SUP conditions to mitigate potential impacts of the proposal, including limiting the maximum number of attendees to 300, restricting the hours of operation to be between 9 a.m. and 11 p.m., and requiring a 75-foot vegetated buffer around the perimeter of the property. A traffic impact analysis was completed for this proposal, which recommends the installation of a left turn lane on westbound Rochambeau Drive at the median break north of the property, and a right turn lane on eastbound Rochambeau Drive at the proposed entrance to the property. Staff has proposed an SUP condition to require the turn lane improvements be bonded prior to final site plan approval and installed prior to the issuance of any certificate of occupancy. At its June 7th, 2023 meeting, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the application with the voluntary proffers and proposed conditions by a vote of 6-0. Following the Planning Commission meeting, the applicant revised the master plan to move the curb cut of the entrance approximately 125 feet northwest in order to meet VDOT's spacing standards so that an exception is not required. Staff finds this proposal to be compatible with surrounding development and consistent with the 2045 comprehensive plan and zoning ordinance. Staff recommends that the Board of Supervisors approve this application subject to the voluntary proffers and proposed conditions. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have, and the applicant team is also available. Thank you.
Yeah, I had one. This is outside the PSA, and I guess it's going to be water and sewers as well and septic. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and I'm not familiar, but what's the procedure for a venue like this is with the health department? Is there obviously different requirements than it would be for like a residential structure? But is that
That is correct, and it's based on the expected occupancy and attendance.
Okay.
And see how they have to size those facilities, and the applicant could potentially provide additional information to that.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Thank you. All right, Mr. Haldeman.
Hello again. Staff again is making it easy for me. We agree with staff's, the Planning Commission agrees with staff's analysis and recommend that the board approve the SUP, the rezoning with proffers and the proffers. And the vote was unanimous, 6-0 with 1 absentee. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to give it a go.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, I'll go ahead and ask, would the applicant like to speak? Yes. And I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing.
Good evening. Jessica Aiken, 8415 Attleboro Way, Williamsburg, Virginia. Good evening. I just said this, but my name is Jessica Aiken, and I am the founder and owner of Wedding Company of Williamsburg, LLC, and I am the applicant for the SUP and rezoning application before you all tonight. I was born and raised in James City County and attended James City County schools. After attending college, I returned to James City County and was fortunate enough to gain valuable event and hospitality experience through working various industry positions at Williamsburg Event Rentals, Kingsmill Resort, and even the College of William and Mary. Eventually, I decided to venture out on my own and start my own business about a decade ago. Since that time, I have grown my company to become one of the area's premier wedding planning and consulting firms, and I've been blessed to develop amazing personal and working relationships with other local event vendors and venues. After recognizing the need for additional wedding and event venues in the county, in 2016, my husband Tristan and I began an effort to expand the business from solely planning into the operation of an actual wedding and event venue. We identified an agricultural property in Upper James City County, developed business plans, and secured investments to make our dream a reality. However, at the time, we were dismayed to learn that the county's existing zoning ordinances would not support such a project. Rather than giving up on our vision, I then became involved with the Planning Commission's Policy Committee to try to develop changes to the ordinance to allow vendors such as myself to bring additional wedding and event venue spaces to the county. After several months of work, I was overjoyed in 2017 when the Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors passed the changes and updated requirements to potentially allow businesses like mine to expand in the county. Since that time, my husband and I have pursued various projects and properties in the county, including the Ambler's House. For various reasons, unfortunately, none of these projects ever made it past the conceptual stage. However, I was excited when the current property at Rochambeau became available. The property met most of the county's requirements, was very close to my home, literally almost next door, and was at a price range that my business could support and still be profitable. We have already made a significant investment into pursuing this property and trying to make it fit the needs of our clients while also maintaining compliance with the county ordinance. My team and I have put a lot of effort in ensuring that this project is well thought out and will be minimally impactful to surrounding properties, and is also consistent with James City County's comprehensive plan and existing ordinances. As a James City County native, I realize what a special place we live in. I can only imagine what a difficult task the board has in trying to balance the needs and wants of citizens and businesses, all while trying to maintain our special character. I realize I'm seeking to expand my business and bring a much-needed addition to the local event industry, but I also see the value in maintaining the special character and feel that we have here in the county. This is something that my husband and I do not take lightly, and it's for that reason that I have made it a point to work with mostly James City County-based businesses on this project, including AES Consulting Engineers, Guernsey Tinkle Architects, and Adams Septic Evaluation and Design. If this is passed, it is also our intent to contract with a James City County-based builder to bring our project to life. I believe that my project team and I have put forward a very reasonable application. Should you all have any additional questions or concerns, myself or Howard Price with AES Consulting, who's here this evening, would be happy to address them. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Questions?
I guess from the septic standpoint, if you guys could address, I guess what the state requires and how you've gone about addressing that.
Yeah, we've already engaged Adams Septic with septic to do an evaluation.
Okay.
And in his preliminary evaluation, he determined that the soils were adequate, that we would be able to provide a system that would be adequate to appease the health department for approval.
Okay.
We've not done the final design, obviously, but
okay.
The preliminary design showed that soils are acceptable and will be adequate.
Any other questions?
Just out of curiosity, do you have an estimate of how many events per year you'd be likely to host there?
Yeah, we're hoping for, on the upper end, 60 weddings a year. And then additional events as needed throughout the week. Lots of community events, though.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Any other speaker cards? No, sir. All right, I'll go ahead and close that public hearing and look for the board for direction.
I'll move the motion.
Well, if I could just, sure.
You have a few things to say.
I just wanted to say that I met with Jess yesterday with Miss Sadler. And I met with Jess a few years ago regarding, I don't know why I'm getting choked up. I think it's because it's just really impressive to me what you and your husband do for the community. And it's really great to see somebody from the county want to reinvest. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. It's the heat. And I wore linen especially so I wouldn't be too hot. But it did not work out with Ambler House, and I was really disappointed about that. Mr. Stevens knows my feelings. So I really appreciate that you were persistent and that you are willing to invest in our county and in continued generation, because your mom and dad were here, and so I think it speaks a lot, and I'm really excited to support this. So thank you.
I'd just like to say it was a joy meeting with you, and I think, especially for a younger person, to have been as thorough and as it covered every single aspect, to go back from square one, looking at ordinances, working with staff and policy committees. I just admire everything that you've done and your journey along the way. Glad the Ambler House didn't work out, just saying, because I think you're doing a wonderful thing. So again, my admiration to you and your family for everything that you've put forward here, and it's been a journey well worth your wait and your patience. So great job. Very, very happy for you.
A motion on the floor, roll call.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Ms. Sadler?
Aye.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Motion carries. Right.
All right, next we'll move into board considerations, requests, and directives. We'll put them all together.
Well,
Anyone?
I would just like to say I was honored and overjoyed to be able to attend with all of the rest of you the pinning ceremony of our new police chief, Chief Jameson, last week. It was a wonderfully attended event. It was very moving. I don't know why Ruth and I were sitting there going, oh. It was very, very special. And Chief Dahlman was there. It was wonderful. And the reception, I think the county did an amazing job and continues to do so, welcoming you. So again, it's been an honor getting to know you, and welcome to the community. Couldn't be happier to have you. Thank you. That's it.
I really enjoyed the opportunity for the pinning ceremony, and then, of course, last night we had opportunity for the chief to meet some folks over at Legacy Hall. I'm very, very pleased that he has decided to come be our chief, and I look forward to great things from him. So the only other thing I had was I wanted to give a shout out to Sarah O'Reilly of our Parks and Recreation Department. I was totally unaware until I went to my Sons of the American Revolution luncheon this weekend, and the Sons of the American Revolution honored her with a certificate because of the assistance she provided in the setting up for the celebration of the Battle of Spencer's Ordinary, which occurs out at Freedom Park. And so she got a lot of really good feedback from the Sons of the American Revolution, and thanks for the job that she did and that Parks and Rec did. So it reflected very well on the county, and I was very proud that she was there to accept her certificate.
And I just wanted to mention that earlier today I attended an event down at the Grove Christian Outreach Center, Slurpees with the Senators, that was designed to allow citizens to have an opportunity to interact informally with their elected representatives. This was their third annual, I believe, event, and Senator Mason was there, and I was there, and we had a good opportunity to meet a number of people. And also, they combined that event with another ribbon cutting for the turquoise tables. And I wanted to highlight that because it was the project of this year's lead class from the Chamber of Commerce program. And the person who spearheaded that project was Kelly Herbst, who is a member of the James City County Parks and Recreation Department. And the Turquoise Table project is one where people agree to have a picnic table painted turquoise in their yard or in a community area or in a park. And it becomes a place for people to just sit down and exchange ideas with each other, have an opportunity to talk and learn a little bit more about their fellow citizens, or maybe have a small meeting or play a game of cards or whatever they might be interested in doing. But it was a pleasure to participate in that event. They've already got 23 turquoise tables scattered around the county, and are continuing to look for more opportunities to do that. I should say not just the county, but the Historic Triangle. And it was great to see Kelly take on that leadership role in that particular project as well. And of course, also enjoyed the events for the chief. It is not a party every day, but I hope that we are giving you the warm welcome you deserve.
Yes, welcome to the chief for sure. That was apparently the first time we had done that, and I hope this chief will stay around for a long time, but I hope that we will do things like that moving forward, because I think they're really important to the community. And so I was glad to participate in that with my colleagues. Just a couple of comments. One, I just want people to remember organizations such as the Virginia Peninsula Food Bank. They tend to get a lot of donations during the school year when things are, not just because it's the school year, but because people are busy and they're more out there. And it's not as noticeable in the summer because everyone's busy enjoying the summer. And their shelves, frankly, are very bare. And so, and I'm sure that goes for any organization. I'm sure the organizations down in Grove, just remember your community service organizations and donate if you're able. Please. And then I had an opportunity to talk to one of our Rec Connect workers last week, Abby Shugeld, and she's working Rec Connect, and it was just really great to hear her positivity and how much she's enjoyed helping the students that are there, and she had empathy because kids sometimes can be there all day because moms and dads are balancing a lot. And I'm just really glad that we hire good people to work in our Rec Connect program, and I want to thank them for that. So that's all. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to keep things moving and look for the county administrator for your report.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, one item I would mention is our Good Neighbor Grant Program. We are accepting applications through July 15th. Provides matching grants up to $500 to enhance the sense of community and sustainability. If they have questions, 757-259-5375. Again, 259-5375, and that deadline is July 15th, so it's coming. So that's all I have, sir.
Thank you. All right, next we'll need a motion to go into closed session to discuss the awards of public contract involving the expenditure of public funds and discussion of the terms for scope of such contract where discussion in open session would adversely affect the bargaining position and negotiating strategy of a public body pursuant of section 2-2-3711A29 of the Code of Virginia and pertaining to the contract between the county, the city of Williamsburg, and the James City County Schools. And also discussion and consideration of acquisition of real property for a public purpose where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of a public body, especially the parcels located at 4092, 4176, and 4130 Centerville Road, as well as parcels located at 1985, 1975, 2153, and 3012 of Jolly Pond Road pursuing a section 2.2-3711A3 of the Code of Virginia and consulting with legal counseling, employing or retaining by a public body regarding specific matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel in particular, the permissible or alternate direct discharge sewer systems in the county pursuant to section 2.2-3711A8 of the Code of Virginia. May I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Roll call, please, sir.
Ms. Sadler?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right.
driven. I
Okay, call this meeting back into order.
Mr. Chairman, I move to certify that we only spoke about those items we indicated we would speak about going into closed session.
All right, roll call, sir.
Ms. Sadler? Aye. Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. Ripple?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, next I'll need a motion for adjournment until 1 PM on July 25th, 2023 for a business meeting.
So moved.
So moved. Roll call, please.
Ms. Sadler? Aye. Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Ms. Larson? Mr. Ripple?
Aye.
We'll be right back.
Right, because
for
you got
round
the
two.
hammer now.
Meeting of the James City Service Authority Board of Directors for a regular meeting. Good evening, Mr. Powell. Would
Good
you
evening.
please call the roll?
Mr. Eisenhower. Here. Mr. McGlinnan.
Here.
Ms. Larson.
Here.
Mr. Hippel. Here. Ms. Sadler.
Here. Any presentations?
No, ma'am.
Any public comment?
No, ma'am.
No speaker cards. Consent calendar, need a motion to approve consent calendar for minutes adoption.
Motion for approval.
All in favor?
Aye.
That carries. Public hearings, Mr. Powell.
At your meeting last month, you authorized a public hearing for several changes to the regulations governing utility service. There are basically four changes that are being proposed. We discussed these in some detail last month, so I'm not going to go into great detail tonight. But one of the changes is regarding the sewer cap that we have discussed that sets the limit at 8,000 gallons per month. The other change that we've talked about was the designated fire protection line fee. We've had a lot of discussion about that. Those changes that we've discussed are proposed as part of this action tonight. There's some changes that are made as a result of us assuming our own billing, which should occur about February of next year. There's some changes that if we have to make the disconnections and those sorts of things that HRSD currently does for us. And then lastly, the proposed changes include a change to the hydrant meter rental fee, which just needs to be increased to reflect today's current dollars. So it's those four fees, or those four changes, and staff recommends approval.
Any questions from Mr. Powell?
Motion for approval?
Well, we got to open the public
We
hearing.
have to open the public hearing.
So we'll open the public hearing.
Nope.
Any
Yeah,
speakers?
no speakers.
Nobody? We'll close the public hearing. Look for the motion
Move
to.
the regulations.
You please call the roll.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Ms. Sadler?
Aye. Board considerations, contract award, $776,300 for lift station 2 for electrical equipment, pump and piping replacement.
Lift Station 24 is located on Jan Ray Circle. It serves the Windy Hill Mobile Home Park, the Regional Jail, and the Merrimack Juvenile Detention Center. It's our third largest lift station in terms of flows. The electrical systems and pumps are at the end of their useful life and need to be replaced. JCSA issued an invitation for bid. Waco Incorporated was the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. They've successfully completed work for us in the past. Staff recommends approval of the resolution awarding the contract to Waco Incorporated in the amount of $776,300.
Any questions?
I'll move the adoption of the contract award.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Ms. Sadler?
Aye. Formal acceptance of water and sewer systems fiscal year 2023.
We bring this to you on an annual basis. This is just the formal resolution for you to accept the infrastructure that's been dedicated to us during the past year by developers. Staff recommends approval.
Any
So
questions?
moved.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Ms. Sadler?
Aye. Board requests and directives. Anybody? No. General manager's update.
I don't have anything further.
Okay, then I'll need a motion, please, to adjourn until 5 p.m. on September 12th, 2023 for the regular meeting.
So move.
Mr. Powell?
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Ms. Sadler?
Aye.
All right, thank
Have
you.
a nice August, everyone.
Thanks. Yeah.